is Renee. This is Fictional Crafts, and you may hear some verbal dribbling in the background. Someone is playing Minecraft and enjoying it. Yes, so about 12 months ago, I did a state of my TBR video. So I sat here and I went through every book on my TBR, which was about 60, 70, I think, at the time. And I just went through them all and showed them all to the camera. And since for about the last month, I have been trying to figure out sort of what I want to do this year. So I don't really want to do my TBR list because I've kind of reframed my thought process around my books. I no longer have most of the books unread outside of like separate anymore. I just have them amongst unread books. I also plan on getting more into rereading a lot more books that I have read in the past, maybe different editions, different translations, if they're translated works, that sort of thing. So what I have done is I've done another video. I'll clip it in between this and the next stage, just showing what books I've kept in the house, mainly for obviously my husband's books, the books for the kids, and sort of this grey area of books that I want to have available for them to read when they're older. So I don't necessarily want to get rid of and then have to rebuy in the future. And books that I haven't technically read, but they're so low on my priority list, I have to make space on my bookshelves. My bookshelves are crammed. I do need new bookshelves. I put off recording this because I was hoping to get new shelves, so I could do the whole video, reset everything, put everything in, make it all nice. But essentially, at the end of the day, my husband's car broke down again. So I don't know when I'll be getting those new bookshelves. And I think my car's due for a service. Anyways, so you will notice that there is a difference. If you've been joining us in the lives or watching the lives after the fact, you will know that I have removed one of my bookshelves. I had to do a huge reorganization of my desk space, office space, so we could fit a computer for the children to play Minecraft on. Are you having fun playing Minecraft? Oh, very good girl. We zipped it, locked it, put it in a pocket, and she's now not even speaking. You can talk, baby. Is it yes? Do you love your Minecraft? Yeah. And but to do all that, I had to rearrange everything, and part of that was getting rid of one of my bookshelves, so I could pull this cabinet out from under my desk, so I had space to put my legs because I've got so much shit under my desk. That's another story. That's a craft story. That's a craft cleanup. So what I have kind of done since then is this is still sort of a TBR shelf, but it is more immediate books I want to get to, and mainly authors I've bought one book from or two books from as a sample that I haven't read yet. So I'll go through them as well. And then when you look here, I have taken down my thing. Yes, I've got a whiteboard that I hang up in the front of my bookshelf now for notes for my writing, my own books. So as you can see, I do not I need a taller bookshelf. I have very little space. This is just a cheap $50 Bunnings purchase, and I do need to replace. It's damaging my books, but yeah, so I've got a few shelves, and then down the bottom is just all crafting shit and crafting books. But yes, so what I might do, I might pull every bookshelf down and show the books rather than just putting them out up there, because I've got to take the time to pull them out properly and put them back in, because there's lips on the shelves, and there's as you can sort of see the frame has got an angle to it here, so it damages books if I'm not careful. But what I'm going to do for this video is actually go through my entire book collection with you. I'll let you know if I've read it or not read it. Plans, yes, JJ, the plans I have for reading it, and we'll go from there. Okay, I in a minute, baby. So, forgive my voice. I don't have my microphone on. I'm charging it for the actual video when I get to it. But I just wanted to give you sort of a quick overview of the books that we have out here. So, just ignore hey hey. So this is hubby's main collection. So he's got his Martian Hail Marys, all of his Titanic books. Both of our Lego books have sort of ended up in his collection because I just don't have space. And the shared books anyway. Books are shared in this household as far as I'm concerned, except for his Titanic books. I mean, they're his. And I've got some ones that are special to me as well. But the Project Hail Mary hardcover and the Martian hardcover have been his Christmas presents for the last few years. I always buy them. I always buy everyone a book in Christmas. So yeah. So I'm just gonna. Sorry, my hand is really shaky. As you can see, it is Titanic, all the Lego. And like this is my book. This is the architecture book. I love that book. These are from a friend. These are a friend's books. Where is it? Building Secrets by Marianne Asima. She's a good friend of ours. She lives in the States. If you love building, go check out her Facebook page and her Model Secrets. But what did I just say? That one, her business. I think she's still on Etsy. I don't know. I haven't been on there for a while. But yeah. And these ones. These are the right ones? Yeah, Warren's. These are very special because Warren signed them for us when we got married at the Brickvention. I miss these guys. I miss my Lego family. I'll fix it up in a sec. Okay, so these are the books that are technically mine, but at the end of the day, I want them where the kids can access them when they're older. I'm obviously going to monitor when they pick them up. Not all of them, like some of them are just literally if they feel up to reading them, they feel up to reading them. So like obviously complete collection of Jane Austen. I've read them all. I have enjoyed them all to a degree, but I've gotten 2 special editions of my favourites, and I've got annotated editions of those favourites as well, so I can reread them and just pull them apart a little bit, as I like to do. Naomi Novak's Spinning Silver and Uprooted. Now, I really like Uprooted. I read it many, many years ago, forgot completely about it, saw a video about it and went, oh yeah, that was a good book. Rebought it, reread it, still enjoyed it. I haven't read Spinning Silver. Now, I've DNF'd it, to be honest, but I just think they're a good pair to have around. And I trust Naomi Novak as an author to be a decent author, so I just thought they'd be worth having around. This is the same with Erin Morgenstein. I've read The Night Circus. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's not really my thing, but I did enjoy it for what it was. I have not read The Starless Sea, but I've got them both because I just think they're worth having around the house. The Blue Fox by Sojon. Oh God, I'm very bad at pronouncing the names. Just a very interesting short story. Yeah, novelette, I think. It's worth having. The same with Calvino's on a winter's night, a traveller. I see this as a love letter to reading. I really do. I think it's a fantastic book. I just got this recently. Yes, Bobby, what is it? Off my mum, actually. So this is actually my original copy of Black Beauty from when I was a little girl. She found it when she was doing a cleanup, and she made sure, because she knew I loved that book, so she's given it to me. Yes, baby. Good girl. Yep, that one's okay. Just don't throw it at windows, please.
Mama, this is actually the one with the hot dog. This is my favorite, and this is actually not so strong.
Okay.
And it can actually break stuff.
Yeah, well, that's why you don't throw it high. You just roll it along the floor, okay?
And it don't break any stuff.
Okay, good girl. Okay, now these three I actually do want to read. I haven't read them yet. I just can't fit them. I just can't fit them in my current shelving. So these are some histories: Mary Queen of Scots, Mary Antoinette, and Elizabeth the Great. I will get to them eventually. They're just not high on the priority list, so they can come out here. That's fine. My copy of the Rowan. When I bought this, I thought I was getting a paperback edition to match all my other copies of Anne McCaffrey books, and it's just a hardcover, and I'm just trying to make space in my bookshelf so it can sit here for now. I might replace this eventually. Yes, baby?
The ball went all the way to the front door.
Oh, wow. But just be careful. Daddy's sleeping, okay? We don't want to wake him up. I bought it from Water Books, and yeah, you can famously order one edition and get another edition. So it happened. I didn't pay much for it, so I'm not too upset. It's also a good series, so I don't mind. I might end up buying the whole collection of Anne McCaffrey books that I can get hold of brand new again. I did buy one, and the formatting was so atrocious, so I don't know. I've got to think my head around that. My copy of Dracula, same issue. It's just not fitting in my bookshelf, and I love it. I do want to reread it soon. Yes. What are you doing? Can Mummy just finish what she's doing here, please? Because I'm recording something that involves over words. Okay. I won't be long. Okay. Cool. That's not waiting. Here. Just for a little while, okay? Do we have to charge them? Okay. Back by the Sea, read it, enjoyed it. I'm not planning on rereading it soon. A paperback version of The Martian. We got like 3 or 4 versions of The Martian in this house. 1984, Negotiating with the Dead. I've actually got 2 copies of this book because they changed the name and I bought it twice, not realising. I still haven't read it yet though. But I just put the duplicate out here. Banjo Patterson poems, Adrian Tchaikovsky. I've read both of them, enjoyed them. Do want to read more of his work, but I just, at the moment, he doesn't belong on my bookshelves yet. A History About British, The Goodbye Cat and Travelling Cat Chronicles. I don't keep a lot of my cozy Japanese reads. I enjoy them, but I just don't reread them. These I've kept because I do want to reread this one because it's one of the very few books that made me cry. And I think it'll just be a nice comfort. I know that sounds horrible, but it'll be a nice comfort read again if I need it. Carmilla, my only physical copy of Raymond D. Feast, Fairy Tale. I don't have any of his other books, but he is an author I do enjoy. We just grabbed this out of a little free library. My husband was interested in reading it. I don't know if it'll ever get read, but we just thought it was interesting. Left-Handed Darkness, Ursula K. Le Guin. I've actually got it's a duplicate copy. This is the Hunger Games collection. I got secondhand. Plan is to have that for the kids. I've got my own versions. Fox Goes North is just a kids book that I've gotten for the kids because I love books with animal protagonists, and I've read it. It's very cute. Definitely worth keeping. This is Jonesy. This is probably not kid safe. If you know, you know. But I love it. It's very cute. So it's up here. Okay, now these are my hardcover editions of Odyssey and Iliad with Emily Wilson's translations. They just honestly don't fit on my bookshelves. But to be honest, if the kids want to read these, I am not going to stop them when they're a bit older. Light of the My Shadow. This is an amazing book by Katie Green. It's a graphic novel. It's about eating disorders and mental health. It's worth a read. If you can get a copy of it, please read it. The Valkyrie, Kate Hartfield, read, enjoyed. Don't want to get rid of it because I did enjoy it, but I don't think I'm ever going to read it again. But I also think it's a good book to have around for future. Ocean, haven't read this yet. I do want to read this, but it's just not high on the priority list, so it's living here. How to Write Science Fiction and Fantasy by Orson Scott Card. This has aged. There are certain bits in this that have aged really badly, mainly stuff about marketing and getting published, because obviously when he was writing, you went the short story route, the magazines route. But the actual advice about writing is pretty good. So I just don't need it in my reference section, in my reference books. But I do want to have a copy of it around the house. Sarah Beth Durst, The Faraway Inn. I have not read this one. This is one of her YAs. I bought it thinking it was part of her other trilogy, like the cozy ones, and it's not, but that's all right. I trust this author. It's a YA. It can sit here for the kids. Watership Down. I have not read this in its entirety. I will eventually. I just haven't been in the right brain space because I am fully expecting to relive trauma. Becca C. Smith, Geraldine's Alley, YA-ish. YA? Yeah, Becca. Yeah, I think she counts it as YA. A great independent publisher. If you like YA books, check her out. Spindle Splintered. Shara and I did a whole a review on this. It's worth reading. I just don't think it's, once again, YA-ish. I don't need it on my shelves. Same with this, The Wolf in the Whale. I really enjoyed this. Jordana Max Brodsky. I really like this book. There's this intersection between Norse and Unit peoples, and it's really interesting. I thought this was great, but it is YA, hence why it's out here. The Snow Child by Aowen Ivy. Enjoyed it. More literary than anything else. Don't think I'll read it again, but do want to keep it around the house. How Iceland Changed the World, same deal. Don't want to read it again, but want to keep it. The same with The Rain Seekers by Matthew Kressel. I really enjoyed this. I read this recently. This was a steal. I picked this up for a couple of bucks from a second-hand store. This is the unabridged and illustrated Le Morte d'Arthur. I mean, by Mallory. I don't need to explain why I'm keeping that. The Call of the Wild and White Fang by Jack London, two of my favourite animals as protagonist books. Got to have around for the kids. My friend Flicker, also a favourite. I need to get Thunderhead and The Green Grass of Wyoming. I really do need to get copies of them. These were my favourite trilogy, other than the Silver Brumby series when I was a kid. Forces of Nature by Brian Cox. Just want to keep it around. I have very nature-enthused children, and hopefully as they get older they will want to read a little bit more complex stuff. Even If This Love Disappears Tonight and Even If These Tears Disappear Tonight are light novels, Japanese light novels by Ichigo. Beautiful. I really like the first one, which is the Love Disappears Tonight one. The second one was okay, but I just don't think it was needed. But light novels are expensive in Australia, and I think they're worth the kids maybe reading when they're a bit older, so I'm just not getting rid of them. Same with The Garden of Words, same situation. And The Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex, The Lost Memory. I am slowly regaining all my lost books because I lost a pile of books in the move into the house, and this is one of them, but they're so expensive, some of these, so she can sit here. I don't think I want to reread this. I just want to know I've still got it. I know that sounds bad. Lord of the Rings, just yet another edition. Where the Axe is Buried by Ray Nyler. I bought the paperback, and then I went and bought the hardback. So this is just a duplicate copy. Story by Robert McKee, one of my favourite technique books ever about story. I've had 3 editions. This is my original edition, I think. And I found a first edition. So I've just put this here, and yeah. Same with this duplicate edition. Binti, I read it. It was all right, but it's YA, not my thing. Stephen King, I have multiple editions. We don't need to worry about that. And then here is Justina Robinson series. This is a standalone, I think, and then this is the series. I'm currently reading it. I'm enjoying it, but I do not think it's going to be a rereadable series. I think I might just keep it around. And then we're sort of getting into more kids' books here. So we've got the Ursula K. Le Guin Earthsea Quartet. That's Morgan's book. She found that in a little free library. She loved the dragon on the cover. I think it's a dragon. Yeah, there's dragons on the cover. That's why she picked it. Magic Faraway for a Cherry Collection, same deal. She absolutely just loved the cover, so she wanted to keep it. Then I've got a copy of The Never-Ending Story, The Handmaid's Tale. This is David's. This is the Tripod series. And he definitely wants to keep these around for the kids because he loves this. This is one of his favourite sci-fi series as a kid. City of Pearl and Crystal Shard. I bought these kind of the second hand just to remind myself that these authors and these series exist, so I can eventually go back and reread them. But I do not need them physically because I'm hoping to track down ebooks or audiobooks or copies. And then we've got some books, some Dr. Seuss's, Jonathan Living Seagulls, a couple of the Wings of Fire series, Hogfather and Guards by Terry Pratchett. They're the only physical Terry Pratchetts I have. I read them. I've been reading like off and on. We read the Hogfather with the kids at Christmas time. This is a new book. I bought this on a whim. Stealing from Wizards, Volume 1. It's an indie published wizard story. Thought it would be a good alternative to you know what. Then I have more animals as protagonists: the White Fox, Fight of the White Wolf, and the Black Stallion. Then some more YAs. The Wizard series, High Wizardry, Wizards Abroad, Deep Wizardry, and So You Want to Be a Wizard. I read them in the wrong order by Diane Duane. A more recent edition of Black Beauty, Tail Chaser's Song, Picnic at Hanning Rock, a Viking series by Tim Severin, which was really good. That's a YA series. How to Be, You Don't Know What War Is, Percy Jackson, the first one, and How to Train Your Dragon, the first one. And then I've got a couple of Roald Dahls, some Hobbits. We're sort of getting into the kids' stuff here, so yeah. And then there's more kids' books down here. So yeah. Okay, so I've just taken off all the books off my immediate TBR sort of shelf. Oh, firstly, JJ, will you please shut up? He wants to go into their room. But Daddy's asleep, so he cannot go into our room. Okay, so the current books I am reading is The New Paramours by Dr. Mary Claire Haver. It is what it says on the cover. It makes me so angry. If you watch my most recent live with Shah, Saturday the 1st of August, I think it was. It's good information. It's worth it if you're at like the same age or in the same situation I am, where you are pretty much in perimenopause. You know you're in perimenopause, but you just want to understand what's going on. This is a very recent edition, and I immediately put a bookmark in it, and I've read like 4 or 5 chapters. Yes, JJ. Out the way, please.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, and that's the other Bennett sister. Oh god, I got the good cover. This is such a nice book. I wish my indie pub books were this floppy. Oh god, I love it. By Janice Hadlow. I've watched the BBC series. Morgan, can we turn that music off, please?
I don't know.
I will do it.
What's button?
I will do it, thank you. I don't know why it keeps getting put back on.
Me either.
This one. There we go. Okay.
Well, I just love the music it makes.
Yeah, well, Mummy, you can't have the music playing whilst Mummy's recording, okay? We'll put it back on in a minute. JJ, move your bum, chum. Yeah, so I've watched the BBC adaptation series a few times, 2 or 3 times now, I think. And yeah, I love Pride and Prejudice. It's one of my favourite at Jane Austen's. So when I found out about this, and I have, because I've watched the TV series first, I'm forgiving this for a lot of things because I kind of know what happens. So I'm sort of forgiving some of the things I'm not usually interested in. But yes, definitely enjoying it so far. And the last book on my current reading list is Keeping It Real by Justina Robson. You would have seen in the video I did of the lounge room bookcase. I have all of her series out there. I've got the whole series for this. This is the Quantum Gravity. I think I've got some on ebook and audiobook as well, but I'm enjoying this enough to know I want to finish the series, but it's an urban fantasy. I just don't think it's going to be something that I reread, so I figured I would preempt. I need space on my shelves. I would preempt. I'll put it outside, something that I want to keep for maybe a future reread, or maybe the kids might be interested when they're older. Definitely when they're older. It's not. It's not. It's sort of what would be considered now probably new adult. It's sort of in that area of age level. If I had read this, JJ, come on, darling.
Come on, JJ.
Oh, he just wants mummy. He wants a cuddle. Okay, you can have a cuddle in a minute. If I had if this had been released when I was a teen, I would have read it. But I was reading much older books at a younger age than was probably smart for me. But I reckon, 16 and above, probably, maybe even a little bit younger if they're mature readers. But yeah, so I don't intend on getting rid of it, but I just don't have the space in my bookshelf at the moment. So they're my 3 current reads. And these are the books that are on my immediate TBR list. So you will notice a theme. Let's be honest here. And it's kind of the theme I'm leaning towards as a reader. And I'm loving every bit of it. So I have learnt that my sweet spot for books is adult science fiction, some fantasy, mainly between about late 70s to 2010-ish. There are some outliers. There are some, but they're mainly if the author was writing sort of those big universal series in that time, or they themselves grew up in that time and were reading those books and sort of write similarly to them. That seems to be my sweet spot. So the first book is No Honor in Death by Sabine it's a Sabine Dunmore book 1 by Eric Thompson. I believe this is independently published. Printed in Great Britain by Amazon. You can always tell a self-pub or printed by Kindle or English Spark Book. But I believe this is military sci-fi. You're going to see a theme. Yes. I can't really get too much into what every book is, otherwise I would run out of battery. So I'm going to have to be a little bit more conservative about talking about particularly the books I haven't read. But as far as I'm aware, that is military sci-fi. So is this Expeditionary Force, Book 1, Columbus Day by Craig Allinson. Also military sci-fi. I did pick this shelf first to use. The Eden Chronicles Book 1, A Bright Shore by S.M. Anderson, also independently published. Oh, so was Expeditionary Force, I think. Yes. Independently published military sci-fi. And then I've got them in piles as in they were sitting on my shelf. On that same shelf is this book is called The Writer's Journey by Christopher Volger. A book about writing. I will report back once I've read it on whether or not I feel that it is worth reading. And then the next little mini shelf on that bookshelf is I have The Arc of the Universe by Nikki Alexander. This was recommended to me by the lady I work with. She reads a lot of more She reads with a book club, and I believe this is sort of hitting the literary side of sci-fi, which I kind of enjoy. I just haven't gotten around to reading this. This one is the tagline got me. It was like, how do you design a system of government from scratch when you've lost faith in the government itself? And considering our current world, pretty poignant. And then another independently published military sci-fi, Warship Book 1 of the Black Fleet Trilogy by Joshua Dazali. Japanese light novel by original story by Makoto Shinkai. The Place Promised in Our Early Days. Is this the one?
Oh my god.
No, this is not the one I'm thinking of. But this author, this creator, because he does movies as well, like short films plus this, and he sort of he writes the light novel at the same time he's writing the script, I believe, and then sort of like updates it as he's doing the movie. So it's all sort of done together. And I did enjoy his Garden of Words. There was a little bit in it that I was a bit dubious about, but I do like these, so I am slowly trying to get them all and read them, but light novels are not cheap here in Australia. I think I've already said that. And then another military sci-fi, but this one is actually published by Titan, called An Ancient Peace by Tanya Huff. And then the last row on that bookshelf is, this book worries me, because if I like this book, there's like 16 chunky monkeys after it. But this is The Last Hunter by Shaney and Mixon, and this is an indie published book. Military sci-fi, need I say more? Okay, this one I actually started reading and I was enjoying, but I was reading an urban fantasy with a sci-fi bent, and this was an urban fantasy with a magical bent, and I was like, I can't do this, I need to have a break between urban fantasies. But this is Heart of Iron by C.M. Alongi. You may know this author with their Cafe Latte series here on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. This follows the characters from that series, and what I read I liked. I just needed to have a break between urban fantasies, because urban fantasy is not really my thing. This one is poetry, epic sort of storyline poetry, and it's Hecate by Nikita Gill, and I'm not really a huge, like, when it comes to Greeks and Romans, I'm not really that into it. Like, I don't read a lot of the retellings or anything like that, but I do like the Iliad and the Odyssey, and more recently I really enjoyed the Emily Wilson versions, translations, and I do like Circe. Circe's alright. But I saw a TikTok of someone walking into a shop, a bookstore, and going, oh my god, look at this formatting, this book looks so weird, and everyone's going, that's poetry, honey. And it really, because I like epic poetry and the old ancient poems, and I just thought, I've got to give this a go, because it's a story in poetry. And I do actually want to get this read soon. I tracked down a audio book edition of this, and I think I might listen to it on audio. But she's also got another book coming out in about 2 months, about the River Styx. So I want to see if I like this enough to get that. I probably will. I think I had a quick sort of sneaky look at it when I first got it, and I really did enjoy what I read. He's all right. Come here, Poppet. JJ, come here.
Mama,
Come here, Poppet. Good boy.
Mama, last time when he was meowing at me, I speak cats, and he was like, meow to me because he wants to eat.
He wants to eat. No, it's too early to eat. He just wants to go into Mummy and Daddy's room and go to do his cat TV watching. JJ, please.
Please, JJ.
Not in front of the camera, darling. Okay. This is essays on sci-fi. Trace Elements, Joe Walton and Ada Palmer. Just modern writers in sci-fi, writing about sci-fi. I just thought it would be interesting. You are damaging my calm, JJ. Anne Aguirre's Grimspace, a sci-fi adventure, which is another era of sci-fi I like. Elizabeth Moon's Moving Target, which is book 2 in Vadder's War. I have read book 1, Trading in Danger, about 4 times over the course of my life, and I have never moved on to book 2, not because I didn't enjoy it, I just didn't seem to just, like, I read book 1, went, oh yeah, I'll have a break, and then I'll go back to it, and I never have gotten on. And I have read Trading in Danger again a little bit earlier this year. I have this now sitting in my priority list, so I do not forget to keep going, because I love Elizabeth Moon's writing. I adore the Paxenarian trilogy, so I've got to get this read. And this is not technically military sci-fi, but the main character is kicked out of the military in the first chapter of the first book. Not her fault, but her like the way she runs her ship, which is a civilian trading ship, is very military-like. Not like heavy military, but it's just the way she thinks and the way she works. So I kind of put it in that semi-military sci-fi era / space adventure, so it's actually like perfect for me. And this is book 4 of an independent series, which I have taken to calling the Murdo series, because Bradley and Lejeune have not seen fit to give it a series name. Maybe the Franklin series. But this is book 4. This is McMurdo Disaster. It's a great series. Sci-fi adventure. It's just a bit of fun. I recommend. And then the last 2 books I have here are an author I've never read from before. And that is, let me turn my light on because my computer screen just went to sleep, is Rachel Cusk. And this is A Life's Work and Aftermath. Now, these are her 2 autobiographical works. A Life's Work is about her daughters when they were born and their first few years of their life. And Aftermath is what happened after her and her husband separated. So I think these books were on the TBR when I did the video last year. They're some of the very few books I have left not to read from that humongous list of books. I've kind of put it off, not because I'm worried I'm not going to like this author's work. I just haven't been in the frame of mind for either of these books, which is a shame, because I think I'd have sort of snuck a peek of a bit of the writing, and I think I'm really going to enjoy these, but I just haven't gotten around to them yet. So I think they're the only 2 books here that are on that list of books that I had last year to read. Do I have any others? I guess we'll find out when we come to them.
But this time I don't want to do any noise, please.
Okay. You gotta go, shh, zip it, lock it, put it in a pocket.
I'm already sleeping.
You're already sleeping, are you? Okay. These 3 books are just very quickly sort of like a display underneath my to-be-read shelf. Kitty cat. They're just books I just adore. I read this one very recently, and it's actually reframed a lot of how I think about my bookshelves and my reading. And that is How to Read a Book by Mortimer J. Adler and Charles Van Breen. It's an older book. It was published a while ago and updated more recently, but I don't agree with everything they say, but I think it's an interesting way of looking at reading and just, in a sense, just getting a bit more value out of said books, although they focus more on non-fiction works. I think a lot of what they say is very valuable for fiction reading as well. And as a writer, I do want to slow down and like read fiction a lot more closely than possibly a normal reader would want to, because I'm looking at techniques, I'm looking at stories and things that people are doing. So, and little tidbits here and there about techniques on writing. So yeah, it's a lot of so's in that sentence. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was really useful, and I've just kept it out because I've got a feeling I might reference this a lot more than other books. So yes, and then as part of that, this book supplanted Stephen King's On Writing as my favourite writing book ever, and that is Steering the Craft by Ursula K. Le Guin, and it's a hell of a lot shorter because Ursula K. Le Guin only says it succinctly, and this is amazing, this book. If you have any if you have any interest in writing, I heartily recommend you get this book. And if you have a writing crew or a workshop crew, I recommend you all get this book and work through the exercises together. I would love to do that. My writing crew is a little bit beyond that. We are more we struggle to meet up these days. We're still working, still writing, still supporting each other, but it's not we're not doing structured workshopping as much as we used to, so it probably wouldn't work for us, but I do think there's a lot of value in this book. It's an amazing book. Okay, and then the last one I have is what I mentioned in the little video I took of the books outside. This is my first edition. It is first edition, I'm sure of it. Yes, it's a first edition of Robert McGee's story in hardback, and I've never actually read this book cover to cover, but I have dipped in and out of it so much, and I really like it. It's more based around movies, but the fact that it's discussing structure of story, invaluable, absolutely invaluable book. Very proud of you, baby girl.
And I already finished building my own house.
Yeah, you've done a good job.
And look at the inside of my house.
Yeah,
look how beautiful it is.
Yeah, it looks great. Okay.
And this is Iron Golem my cat said because I want Iron Golem.
Okay. Now, my shelves are stacked in as close to ABC author as I can do it.
Squishy time!
Squishy time! Okay, get yourself squishy. They're not perfect. So I obviously got to take space into account, so I've got to move some things around. But I do try to do author surname ABC. Okay? We attempt. So the first book on my list here is Margaret Atwood's Paper Boat, which is new and selected poems from 1961 to 2003. I am not a poetry girly. I want to be a poetry girly. I respect Atwood and Atwood's writing very much, so I'm hoping Atwood can help me become a poetry girly. Yes. Okay. The next is pretty much a pile of Atwood's books. So I have the McAdam trilogy, Mad Adam trilogy, Oryx and Crank, The Year of the Flood, and Mad Adam. Not read yet on the list. Okay, I've got Hagseed, which I want to read soon. I have got The Handmaid's Tale and The Testaments. Now, I have read The Handmaid's Tale. I have not read The Testaments. I loved Margaret Atwood's writing so much, I just went and bought most of it back list. Of the stuff I'm interested in. I mean, there's so many more books, but I only bought the ones that I have a sci-fi bent that I am interested in. And then in Other Worlds, Sci-Fi and the Human Imagination. I believe this is essays. And on Writers and Writing. I think it's this one. I think this is the original publication of the other one that I said I'd doubled up because they'd renamed it. This one. Yeah, they renamed it for some reason. I don't know why. And then this is on Writers and Writing. Or was it this one? I can't remember. It was one of the writing books. And this one is a collection of short stories that Margaret Atwood is in. But there's a lot of other like fantasy and sci-fi authors that I have not read, and I thought, well, I'll just give me an opportunity to maybe discuss, maybe find someone new, and that's called Furies, stories of the wicked, wild, and untamed. Yeah, 16 best-selling, award-winning writers have reclaimed these words, recreating entertaining, irresistible collection of feminist tales. So, it sounds really interesting. Okay, now, not in order, but my two favourite Adams. So Last Chance to See and Salmon of Doubt. So Last Chance to See
Mom, I'm actually going too high.
Oh no! You'll have to go back down again. Last Chance to See was when
Mom, I'm actually falling.
Douglas Adams and Mark, what's his name? Carradine? Can't read it. Upside down. Okay.
Mom, I'm actually falling
Carwadine. Travelled around at the end of the 80s, I think it was, or the start of the 90s, looking at endangered species. And then there's also a afterward from Mark more recently, I think about 10 years ago, discussing what's happened since. And then when I was reading it, I had started...
I'm actually falling.
Okay, you're falling. I had started doing my own little update on the animals, and I didn't finish that because I got so invested in the book I just kept reading it. But I will go back and reread this, and then when I do that I'll probably do those little inserts and updates again. And The Salmon of Doubt was a posthumous release, sort of a collection of his best essays at the start, and then the draft he never finished of a Dirk Gently novel. But it even says in the foreword for that he thought it might actually be rewritten into a hitchhiker's novel. So he wasn't, like, he hadn't quite figured the story out. I don't like that section. I just like I love the essays that he wrote, particularly the one about little dongly things. It's a favourite. I reread that constantly. I have it on audiobook as well, and I just re-listen to it on a regular basis. Here are my two absolutely stunning editions of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice and Persuasion. So they're called the Painted Editions, and they are absolutely stunning. So I haven't read these yet. I haven't reread Pride and Prejudice since I read the editions that I have now out in the main library, in the family library. But when I do reread it, it will be either this edition or it will be an annotated edition, which I have on order and it just has not arrived. It's been on order for a while now. I might have to get in contact with them and find out what's going on. And this is the painted edition of Persuasion. It's beautiful. And the annotated edition for Persuasion has arrived. So, I have these two stunning editions. They're absolutely beautiful books. That's sort of where I'm happy to buy like a second edition, because I want to have a copy available for the kids to read, but I also want an edition that I can mark up and write and put things in. And then if I love the book that much and there's an annotated edition, you can bet I'm going to get myself a copy of that. Okay, this is The Battle of Muldan. I read this recently. This is written by Mark Atherton, or forwarded and discussed by Mark Atherton, not The Battle of Muldan poem is ancient. Yeah, it's just a book about the epic battle poetry at the Battle of Muldan. Gavin the Medievalist, he did a video on this, brought my attention to this book, and rather amusingly, I realised I had another book from this author that I have not read yet, which I will point out when I get to it, but that is actually in a separate section, because that is part of, I've got two theme sections in my library, and it is over in that section. But yes, I've got it. I read the poem. I didn't really read the before-word and the afterword. I just read the poem. I will eventually go back one day and read like all the data around it, but I just wanted to read that actual poem at the moment. This is one of my books that is not in ABC, and I should be able to fit it in now that I've made a little bit of space. And that is Pirate Woman by Laura Sook Duncombe. Another book we did a little review on. I think this one was on my channel, maybe on Shah's, I'm not sure. But it's just a story of women pirates through the ages. It's a good book. I like it. And then we have How the Female Body Drove 200 Million Years of Human Evolution, Eve by Kat Brohannon. Yes. If you have a body that has a uterus, read this book. If you have a body that doesn't have a uterus, read this book. That's all I can say. It's very interesting. And this one I love. This is The Making of a Poem by Mark Strand and Evan Bolland, and it's just discusses poetry, how to put poetry together. I learn a lot reading this book, lots of examples. It is technically for a class, so it's got like little exercises and things in it as well. But yes, this is also a book I think I actually might put this book with the reading a book, so I can get to it, because it's really hard to get up onto that top shelf. So I might do that, because I think I would like to reference this book a little bit more often. I am going to do that, and it'll give me a little bit more space up there. This is my favourite series I read last year, which is the Elizabeth Bear Jenny Casey series. So the first book is Hammered, second book is Scar Down, third book is World Wired. Starts off as cyberpunky, aging protagonist, first generation cybernetics, and what the hell happens when parts start breaking down. It's really good. I like that. It was a really good take on cyberpunk. The second book sort of starts leaning into more military sci-fi. She's recruited back into the military, and she has to cope with all that sort of stuff. And First Contact. And the second book and the third book is sort of eco sci-fi. So it has like my three favourite science fictions, and it's all sci-fi adventure as well at the same time. So yeah, it's like got like the 3-4 favourite things. I'm not really a huge fan of First Contact, but because it has that military aspect, it worked really well for me. But yeah, and I'm gonna give you a way there. Okay, a current new favourite author is the next two books, and that is Sharon Blackie, and I have her Haggitude and her Foxfire and Wolfskin. I wasn't a huge fan of this. This was short stories, effectively retellings of ancient myths and legends, but this is sort of all about menopause and perimenopause, and I really enjoyed it. It does have the myths intertwined. It's like discussing how like the hen wife like sort of exists, and how, you know, what all sort of what the myths kind of are telling us about that era of a woman's life, without sort of and some retellings. I'm gonna get the rest of her books. I really am. I think she's a good author, and I really enjoyed these. And the last ones from the top shelf are my collection of Suzanne Collins. So I currently have Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. I do have Sunrise on the Reaping on order in this edition. So I originally bought them as a trilogy, and they released this, and I was desperately hoping they would release the other one, and they have. So when that comes, I plan on rereading the series in chronological order, but I just haven't got it yet. And I've got kitty cat ears in my way. Hey, JJ? Okay.
What's kitty cat ears?
Kitty cat ears? Kitty cat ears in the camera. Yeah, you're beautiful. Okay, second shelf. I have Sean Crow, just his urban fantasies. This is the first one, Valhalla Steel, but I usually have this one first on the shelf just to stop things falling over. And this is Quenched in Blood. They are cyberpunk urban fantasy with elves and everything, and Norse Vikings. So I'm sold. It's a great series. I love it. Independently published. I think I've already said that. If I haven't, I just now did. This is, we read this with the Pirate Women book. This is a bottle of rum. It's just a general history, very short, easy to read history on pirates, and it actually has recipes for some of the drinks, the rum drinks that they used to have. So yeah, it's just a bit of fun, that one. I don't think I would reread this, but I just not entirely comfortable putting that out in the family library just yet. Not with the recipes in it. This is the first sci-fi I ever read, A.C. Crispin V, which is the book that was written based on the original V miniseries from the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, one of those. Yes, I do have to reread this.
Mom, I'm playing the fourth block.
Oh wow!
And
okay.
It has to grow. Oh my god!
Okay. Now these books are not in order, but it's just the Lost Fleet series by Jack
Mama,
Campbell.
there's one row.
The first one is Dauntless, I think, and then I think it might be Fearless. I can't remember. I've taken them down. They're out of order. I'll put them back in order eventually. But yeah, military sci-fi. It does get a little bit, I won't lie, if you read them all in one hit like I did, because I just went, oh, military sci-fi, I forgot how much I loved you. I read them very, very quickly, within about a month, and they got very repetitive after a while, so I would definitely recommend breaking them up with other books in between. Now this is sort of like a placeholder, because this is a favourite author. I think she's an Aussie author. Yes, born in South Australia. But I'm struggling to find the rest of her books. Like, I want to find all her books as ebooks or audiobooks, and I'm struggling to find them. But this is Sarah Douglas's Threshold, and this is a standalone. But she also wrote a series called the Battle Axe series, and then the series after that was like the Wayfarer Redemption series, I think it was called. All fantasy. I do enjoy them, but this one is very sort of Egyptian-y coded. And I did enjoy it, so this is sort of like my please don't forget to get the rest of her books reminder. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed that one. We read that a few times actually. This book I hated. Absolutely hated this book. And this is a Beowulf, a more recent translation by Maria Delavana Headley, and I get what the translator was doing. I do get what the translator was doing, modernising it, making it more like accessible for current people, but I hated the way they did the translation. I have kept it because I like having multiple translations of these older poems, because I think you can gain value from them even if you don't enjoy the version. Yes. Okay. This is a very big annoyance, but this is Sarah Beth Durst. So the spell shop.
What's Sarah Durst?
Sarah Beth Durst. It's the author's name. And the Enchanted Greenhouse, and the most recent one, Sea of Charms. Now, do we see a problem with these covers? They are the same size. I will give them that, but yeah. Why do they do it? I don't get it. And they've also, like, oh yeah, no, these books are embossed, but yes, but I will hold off reading this. I just recently read The Enchanted Greenhouse. I liked it. These are cozy fantasies, very low stakes. I like having them in reserve for when I'm feeling really burnt out and I need something just really easy to read and calm. So I've got it. I will read it eventually, just not right now. So it's not a high priority, it goes on the bookshelf. Okay, this one is, I've read one of these books and not one of the books in this and not the other. So this is The Beauty and the Beast and the Naiads I've read The Beauty and the Beast in this. I will go back one day and read the Naiads as well, but this is just the original Beauty and the Beast translated, and I think this was printed in Australia. This was an independently, because it's out of print, someone's just taken the translation and they've printed it as a book. I've got no problem with that. And it was just interesting to read the original Beauty and the Beast, considering how many retellings there are around the world. I am going to this book. I have a bit of a book tower here. I better be careful. And these books. This is my collection of Amal A. Moatar's books. Now, obviously, This Is How You Read the Time War was co-written with Max Gladstone. Yeah. Love this book. I have had the paperback edition for many, many years, and they released this new stunning collector's edition. See, this is where I'll go spend the money on books that I know I'm going to read and reread multiple times. Then The River Has Roots. The River Has Roots, I think, was released last year, maybe. Very beautiful book. And then The Seasons of Glass and Iron is short stories, which I have not read yet. But I plan on reading them in and out as I sort of want a break from bigger books. This one is Barbara Erskine's Child of the Phoenix. Now I read this when I was a teen, and certain scenes in this book have lived rent-free in my head for a long time, and not my normal wheelhouse. Historical romance is sort of its genre, I think. It's going to tell me. Probably not. But I see a lot of her books in the romance section of secondhand stores and things like that. It's a chonky monkey, but yeah, I just want to reread it one day. I might reread it and hate it, but I just want to give it another go. I enjoyed it when I read it, so okay. And here we have my William Gibsons. So I've got the, what are these called? There's a specific name for these. Oh, that sounds like Danny Go out there. You going to go out and dance with your brother?
No.
Oh, why not? Anyway.
Because I still play like
Neuromancer, Count Zero, Mona Lisa Overdrive, and Burning Chrome, the famous cyberpunk trilogy and short stories. This one has the short story that Johnny Mnemonic was inspired by too. So I think it is called Johnny Mnemonic.
Well,
but yes. And then I've read all them. And then I've also got his pattern recognition series, and I have read pattern recognition and not read these two. So I do think I had the third book. Which one's the third book? It's Big Country. No, it's Zero History. I had them on my TBR last year, but I haven't read the second one yet. So it took me a while to get a copy of it. But yeah. And then this is definitely one that's out of order, and it's out of order for a specific reason, because I've got 2 more copies ordered that are just taking their sweet ass damn time to turn up. But this is the Fagles translation of the Odyssey. So I also have the Norton Critical Edition of Wilson's ordered, and it's taken a very long time to come. But I believe there's some updated bits to the translation in that edition. That's why I went and got it. And it's also the Norton Critical Edition. It's got some context things and things written in it. And I also haven't ordered it yet, but I want to. The Green Edition. So the translation by Green, because I've been told that the Green Edition, he went word for word. So he didn't worry about the pentameter. He didn't worry about the poetry. He just sort of went word for word. What did this mean as a play? What were the words meant to say, even in the ancient tongue, and then sort of almost translated it word for word. So I wanted to have the 3 side by side and actually read them side by side and compare them. That is a project that's not going to be years in the making. I just want to have the copies ready to go. I might just read, like, you know, a book, because the Odyssey is broken up into books, so I might read a book at a time or something. But yes, I do. I have this sitting on this bookshelf because there's space for the other two books that go next to it. Yes, with that time for space. Yeah. Okay, I'll put these back and get book 3, shelf 3. Okay. JJ, what are you doing? Okay. So, Summoner Green, favorite author, Deathstalker. I read this so long ago, I no longer remember it. Advantages of having 2 kids. My brain, I can't remember it. And this is Deathstalker Prelude, which I did have on my TBR last year. I have read 2 of the 3 novellas in this book. And this book has Mistworld on it. So I was wrong. When I was talking about this, I didn't realise this had the World novellas in it. And Mistworld is the book that has a scene in it that lives rent-free in my head and has since I first read it as a teen. So yes, Summoner Green, they're his sci-fis, and then his fantasies. I'm going to try to do this in order. Okay, so Blue Moon Rising, the original. Read it if you love fantasy adventure with a bit of humour. This is classic. He's not as humorous as someone like Terry Pratchett, but it's got that kind of tone to it where he doesn't take itself too seriously. Then you need to read the Hawk and Fisher series. These are 6 shorter novels based in the same world. It's called the Forest Kingdom. So this is basically, but these guys are guards in a city called Haven, and it's. I have to reread these. I just remember them being so good. Yeah. Oh, that was a big yawn. And then I'm not.
Thank you very much.
I don't entirely remember where these fit in the chronological order. I do know they're in the Forest Kingdom though. And that's Down Among the Dead Men and Blood and Honor. I have read both of these once again. I remember bits, but just yes, I've got to double check what reading order I'm going to do. But I'm pretty sure they're sort of happening at the same time as the Hawk and Fisher series, and they're in another country, or it's around about that time. And then the Beyond the Blue Moon is a direct sequel between Blue Moon Rising and the Hawk and Fishers. I'm not going to spoil why, but yes, let's just say it all comes together into the same story. And then Once in a Blue Moon is the only book in this series I have not read. I did not even know this existed until I started collecting these books again. If you can hear that, my son is going to get told off by my husband any minute now because he cannot keep his voice down. I mean, it's good that he's getting exercise, but my husband, David, is trying to sleep. He's on night shift. Okay. The new Menopause by Mary Claire Harver, Doctor. This was first, but I decided this was released first, but I decided to read the Perimenopause book first because I'll get more value out of that right now. Okay. Now, my Dunes. So I have these 2 beautiful, very heavy editions. The first trilogy, the second trilogy. Now that I've got it down. Oh no, the book's alright. I was contemplating buying a second edition of the first 4 because they're my favourite. I don't really like the 5th and 6th one, but they're valuable in their own way. But because when I reread them, I want to annotate. But I'm just looking at the paper now because I thought the paper was a lot thinner. It's not. It's a good quality, and I've got to go deal with this.
Another rain one.
Okay. Literary Theory by Mary Claigs. Just a book about literary theory. I believe it's a textbook for some classes, introduction classes. It's worth a read. It was a good book. I've just kept it around so I can reference it if I need to. Okay. My favourite trilogy from Mercedes Lackey's Valdemar World. I don't know if it's got like a world name, but Valdemar is one of the countries inside it. And this is the Tama and Kathy books. And it's the, which ones is it? It's the one where they meet. It's the one where they meet. Oathbound's when they meet. Oathbound's when they meet. Oathbreakers is, I think, when they find out what happened, because they join a mercenary company, and I think that's Oathbreakers, and then Oathblood is that the short story collection? Yes, I think that's the short story collection. And there's another book which is based around one of Kathy's granddaughters. And yeah, this one's good. Very feminist for its time. Let's just put it at that. Very feminist for its time. And I do intend to go through and read. I want to get all of these omnibus editions because I really like how they're just neatly packaged. But I don't know if all of her series are in these omnibus editions. So I don't know.
There's only one edition.
I do want to go back and reread them soon. And this is, yes, the McMurdo series. I've got up to book 5. I believe book 6 might be on its way soon. Yeah, I've got to read book 4, book 5. Not really much to say about that, other than they're a great series. Go support the authors. And this is actually Martin Lejeune, so one of the authors from here. This is his solo trilogy. Starts with Pulsar Sky. I really, really love the matte covers on this. They are KDP printed, so Amazon printed. I print my books through Ingram Spark, but it's really encouraging me. I think they've really improved the matte. So I am investigating when I do a small update to Descent. When I release Botany, I'm going to do a slight update with Descent, just clean up some things. I found some typos and errors that I'm just going to clean up. And I'm wondering if I should change the cover to matte. So I'm going to give that a go. And then the last book for this shelf is For Whom the Bell Tolls by J.C. Lynn. I think this is sold as romantasy. But it is a romantic fantasy. It definitely, because the world building is excellent. There's story to it, but the romance is very high. Like the romance is like the priority story, but there is other things happening. One of the things I found with romantasies is that the romance seems to take priority over everything else. So like even with the Sarah Beth Durst books, the plot is important. Like the romance plus the situation sit at the same level, and that's sort of where this one sits. And I really enjoy this, although it is more romance than fantasy. It's just fun. And the sequel to this, The Bells of Wrath, is due out next year. I'm looking forward to reading it. This is one of the few sort of this current era sort of style romantic fiction that I enjoyed enough to keep. I have read a few, but I've enjoyed enough to keep and continue with the series. So yes.
That's why I got some flames around me.
Okay, this is my Ursula K. Le Guin, The Books of the Earthsea. This is a complete collection, including any short stories, novellas, everything, main story books, everything all in one, beautifully illustrated. I inhaled this book. I inhaled this whole thing in like a week. It was so good. I love Le Guin's writing. So, but yes, I do have to go back and reread it and take my time with it next time. But yes, Yes, I do love that one. Now, this is also Kayla Gins. This is her carrier bag theory of fiction. This is just a real tiny essay that Le Guin wrote. There was an amazing video essay which I have to go back and rewatch. I will link that creator below, that video below, because it was amazing. But it also made me think about carrier bags and fiction. And I realised that one of my main characters has an equivalent carrier bag, and it was just funny. Like when I was watching this video essay, I was just sitting there thinking, "Oh my god, my sci-fi captain has a carrier bag. It's her belt. It's a gun belt with all of her canisters in it, and she's just got a random assortment of shit that she's picked up over the years that she just comes in handy when she's doing things, like when she's out and causing chaos." And I've got a list somewhere. I do have to update it because I've got to add a few things to it, but I've got a list, like an exact list of what's in it, so that it's not quite ex machina then. Like, I am quite literally saying, no, she's got stuff that she's learned over the years she needs to have on her body at most times, and so when she pulls it out to say, oh, look, I've got this, it's not like I just thought of it at the time, it actually is in that bag. I'm wondering if there's an adventure I'm about to start drafting after I get this bloody thing edited. Botany's taking its time so much.
I'm actually eating
she actually has her kit on her for this one, and I'm seriously considering like putting in like my afterwards in my notes and stuff, because I put like with extra information. I'm starting a dictionary for the next book and things. The Botany's going to have a dictionary of common terms, things like that. But I'm thinking of putting a what's in Hawk's carrier bag like list, so you can sort of see that this is the shit she keeps hold of all the time. But yes, I've got to reread this. I think you could write novels that like 100 words, 100,000 words, information based on this stuff and applying it to certain characters. So yeah, I do love that. I highly recommend it if you are a author to read that, or even if you just like to deep dive. And this is my colour book, the complete Hamish novels. So this one is Left Hand of Darkness. That's it, trilogy. I think there's 4 of them actually, quad. All the short stories, all the novellas, all the books in that universe. So I've got all the books all the stuff written in the Earthsea universe, and then all the books written in this universe. I've read Left Hand of Darkness using the other copy that I showed earlier, but I will go back and reread it. Oh yeah, here we go. It's got a list. Rocannon's World, Planet of Exile, City of Illusions, Left Hand of Darkness, Dispossessed, World. The word for world is forest, 5 ways to forgiveness, telling, and stories. And the stories thing, I think, is like the short stories and stuff. So yeah.
I'm not playing the Dark World.
JJ, come on.
JJ, come on.
Here.
Mommy's already busy.
Oh, you're so warm, kitty cat. Have you been next to the heater? Oh, yeah. Nice warm kitty cat. Okay.
Warm, kitty cat.
You're going to get cat fur on my... Oh, you've moved my camera. Ah, kitty cats. Kitty cats. Eh?
Mommy, sometimes I ain't gonna eat. I don't eat this farm stuff.
Now, I've got a little bit of a collection here of Anne McCaffrey books. So, I did not know this book. I did not know this series existed until earlier this year, and I immediately had to go get hands on it. So, I originally found it as separate books, but then I was missing the middle one, and I found this compilation of the three books of The Planet Pirates, written by Anne McCaffrey. The first and third book co-written with Elizabeth Moon. How did I not know this series existed? And the middle one was co-written with Jodie Lynn Nye. I got no idea who that author is. If I like the book, I might investigate them further. But this is, The Planet Pirates. Now, I also believe this series intersects with this series, which is The Dinosaur Planets. And this is 2 books. I believe. I have not read any of these. As I said, I cannot believe I did not even know that Space Pirates, written by two of my favourite authors, existed. So they are definitely on my list of books to read very, very soon. I've also sort of just mainly got my favourites with Anne McCaffrey because there's so many of them. I'm kind of debating whether or not I recollect them as books. I don't think I've shared this story recently. I know I have in the past, but I've taken a lot of videos down. But when I went through a very depressive period in the 2000s and I got rid of 98% of my book collection, I had a lot of books and I got rid of nearly everything I owned at the time. And I do regret that, but that was a depressive period. It wasn't a haul, as in I'm not going to read these books. These were books I'd read and loved, and I just. Anyways, so I'm slowly sort of collecting what I can, but I think I'm going to focus a lot more on ebooks and audiobooks, just simply because I don't have space. I do not have space for the big, great library influx or the money. But anyway, this is Anne McCaffrey's first published book, and that is Restory. It was a standalone sci-fi. I don't think it's aged particularly fantastically, but I also don't think it's that bad either. So I do have to reread it, but I did see this in a secondhand store and I just grabbed it because it's Restory. And the same is with this. This one I sought out because this was my favourite series of hers that I remember. It's a science fiction, it's a trilogy. It's the Crystal Singer series. I just remember really loving the first book and the second book in particular. The third book I've read only like once or twice, but the other two I reread like many times. So I've got them to reread. And then moving on to Elizabeth Moon, I've got the rest of That Is War series physically. She's also another author I kind of want to collect, but at the same time, there's just so many books. I've really got to. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to manage. Like I don't have the money to buy a lot of books, so I try to focus on the books that I can't get as ebooks or audiobooks. But there's also books I want to write in. So if DRM didn't exist, I would buy them, put them down onto my. I think my reader might be able to do notes. I have an Onyx book, and the Kindle app on it, and a couple of other apps as well, library apps, things like that. I know if I own the electronic book, so I've got a lot of books that I bought before DRM was introduced that I've got copies of, because you used to be able to sideload them, like download them onto a computer and then sideload them onto your Kindle. Those books I can put into the main reader on that Onyx, and I can actually sit there with my Onyx pen and write notes physically onto the document, like e-document. That's kind of what I want to do if I can. But I don't know if I go into the Kindle app with books after DRM was introduced. I don't know if I can do that way with them. I might be able to see, but if screenshotting every page is just too hard. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I've got to figure that out. But I'm trying to put most of my collection onto ebooks if I'm not going to read them very often or not going to reference them very often. But if they're absolute favourites that I know I'm going to reread, or books that I want to have physically around for the kids to try to encourage them to read when they're a bit older, I definitely will get them as physical books. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard because I'm just, the instinct is to get it physically. But anyway. Elizabeth Moon, as I said before, my favourite series from her is The Deed of Paxenarian. This is the whole trilogy in one. I love these omnibus editions. And this, look at this. The flop. The flop is stunning. I love this book. Okay. And then another favourite author. is Richard Morgan's Altered Carbon, the Takashi novels, Altered Carbon, Broken Angels, and Woken Furies. There's really not much to say about these other than they're cyberpunky and awesome. And I have started reading his fantasy series that still remains. I'm not sure. Dark the Files, I think, is the second book, but I can't remember what the series name is. I did start reading it. I think I read the first book when it first came out, and I just never went on with it because by the time the second book came out, I was deep in that depressive episode that we just discussed. This one here is an author that's kind of been affected by this idea of trying to minimize physical books, but at the same time wanting physical books. So this is Hirokai Murakami. I am fascinated. I know he doesn't write women the best, but I'm fascinated with his style of writing. And I was slowly collecting these vintage international editions, and I love these vintage international editions. They look stunning. But I think they are discontinuing this range. So, and I can't afford to grab every book. So what I've been trying to do is read through his entire back catalogue and just take notes when I find a phrase or a word that I really enjoy or like. Like, I've just been reading it as that kind of book. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got the next book on order at the moment, but it's not these editions. It's some special Japanese vintage edition. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do there. The OCD in me wants to thinks they have to all be the same, or I have to rebuy the ones that I've already got. But I also don't want to do that. I don't want to spend that kind of money. But I just don't. I don't know what to do. I might have to just source them from Water Books and hope I get these particular editions. That might be what I end up having to do. Now, this is a fellow indie author and friend, Ashwood and Brimstone, and Of Greed and Glory by E.A. Oliveri. She does have a channel here on YouTube. Go support her. I do believe she has recently, I was it last week, done some Write With Me sprints. She hasn't really been posting much, but do go support her. Dark fantasy. That's all you really need to know going into this. If you like dark fantasy with a bit of romance, go for it. These books are fun. And, my personal copy of 1984. This is The Factory. Actually, you know what? I might put this out. So I've written a lot of notes in this one, but I do want to keep it, but I don't want it necessarily on my... It's only small though, so it seems silly just to banish it to the main family library. Just the extra space is the extra space. I might even do the same, to be honest, I might even do the same with my copy of 1984. I'm so desperate for space. But this is not the book I thought it was when I bought it.
Yes.
I was after a different book, but I still really enjoyed this, and it's worth a read. Very literary bent, discussing sort of capitalist issues. And this is an author I really need to get more books from. This is Adore Ava Olofsdotter, and this is Butterflies in November. I really love this book. A woman is, she agrees to look after her friend's autistic son, non-verbal autistic son, while she's in the hospital because she's pregnant with twins, I think. She falls over, hurts herself, and they say, well, you can't leave the hospital until the babies come. And so she's like, well, I can't, I've got no one to look after my son. So her friend takes him, and literally the night she takes him to look after him, they buy a ticket to the lotto, and they win. So they've got shit tons of money. Neither of them have to worry about anything for the rest of their lives. And he is highly non-verbal. So she sort of, I can't remember if he's on school holidays or if she takes him out of school, kindergarten. I think he's in kindergarten age. And they go on an adventure across Iceland. And it is heartwarming and lovely and beautiful. And I have to read more from this author. So that is that shelf.
Okay, how many are you
I
doing?
got... This is my... I've got 2 more shelves after this. Okay? Almost done.
And that's make 5.
No. Total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I've done 4 already. Okay? Okay. So... Next up is someone who's kind of a new favourite author. And that is Ray Naylor. This is The Mountain in the Sea. This was my favourite book when I first read it 2 or 3 years ago, when it first came out. I loved it so much I got the expense of getting the hardcover edition.
Well, I put one into the void.
Yeah. It's expensive in Australia to get hardcovers, which I'm going to touch on in a sec. And then Tusk of Extinction was his second book, which is more of a novella. It only ever came out in hardback, so I've got them. I have not read this book yet. This is the Where the Axe is Buried, which was his release after Tusks. I ended up getting the paperback edition, and then when they released the hardback, I got the hardback. And most recent book of his is Palaces of the Crow, which is, I'm in that situation now. So they have released the hardback, but it's like $55 for me to get. And I kind of want to read this before I fork out that kind of money for it. I didn't with the other one. I had more money back then. So I do have to read this because the hardbacks do not stay in Australia long. So I do have to get around to reading this. But,
Mama.
yeah, I've read 2 of the 4 of his books. I just love his writing. Maybe I should just buy it. That way I can just take my time and enjoy it. Anyways, then I have Mike Resnick's Starship series. And these, I love these books.
This might take a while for these guys.
Like stunningly written books, but they're military sci-fi, and I really enjoyed the story of them. I do not think you can get them in paperback. So I spent the time and the money, and I tracked them all down via hardback via World of Books, and I think I ended up getting a couple via eBay as well. But yes, I've got them. I never owned these before now. I first read them via audiobook, so I do want to go back and read them physically because I think you get a different experience. I think both forms are valid, but I think you get a different experience when you do one or the other. This one is just a little poetry book. Christina Rossetti, The Goblin Market and Other Poems. I just bought this specifically so I could read The Goblin Market. Yes, I know I probably could have gotten it online, but I wanted to read it. As I said, I'm trying to get into poetry more, and so I just thought it'd be valuable just to be able to like reread it when I wanted. And this is also a new author that I'm very interested in reading more from, but it's hard to get his books, and that is Frank Schelsing, The Swarm. The next one I've got in my sight is the book The Limit, but it comes in 2 parts. And they're both like this big, so yeah, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I really enjoyed this. I really loved the watery theme of it all. Sci-fi, eco / first contact, I guess you could say in a way. Not really first contact, but intelligent form that is not a human. Yeah, and yeah, very, very good book. I believe there's a TV series. I will get around to watching it one day. Another indie author that I highly recommend. I've read Nick Snape's The Scorching. I thought there was another 2 books in this series, but I looked it up recently and I could only find the second one. I'm sort of putting off buying it because he changed the covers. And I kind of...
Please want my wish come true. I guess this is
I'll get over it eventually and get the next one. But that one's interesting. Eco sci-fi, I think, is the main one, but there are aliens in it as well, but it's not first contact. Contact for the
aliens?
Yes, aliens in the book. First contact for the protagonist, but not first contact for the world.
I hate aliens.
You hate aliens? You don't know any aliens.
I do know aliens. They're so disgusting.
Oh, you mean the aliens you watch on your YouTube videos about Minecraft? Those ones.
Hey, Mama. Minecraft is my lordship are not aliens.
Okay.
This
one is the first book
They're not even aliens.
in the Weapons of Choice series, and this is military sci-fi. So I will give this a go eventually, and if I like it, I'll just collect the rest of them. I do try to, where I can, buy indie books physically because
Those my nuggies.
I think they're halfway through cooking. Another couple of minutes, and because the author gets a bit more, and I'm all for that. This is a very special edition of The Martian. So this is my edition. So as you can see, we have a couple of editions in the house. I will get around to reading Project Hail Mary. I probably won't read Artemis. I've heard a lot of bad things about that one. But The Martian. This is the hardcover edition that was first released. Is it the first printing? Let me double check. Originally self-published in a different form as an ebook in 2001. First published in 2014. Yeah, so this is the first sort of printing physical hardcover edition of The Martian. So it's not a first edition because he first independently published it. But this was the Del Rey original edition with the original cover. And I think this is an original print. It doesn't really... First published in the UK in 2014 as an imprint. This is the first Del Rey edition when it was printed by Crown Publishers first, a division of Random House, New York, in the UK by Del Rey. So this is the Del Rey first year printing because there's no other dates in here, I think. Anyway, but the closest I can get to a first edition for The Martian. I love The Martian. I love this book so much. That's why I haven't read Hail Mary yet, because I'm worried that I won't live up to The Martian. That's the simple fact of life.
Mommy, want to wake up?
Okay.
Daddy.
I've only got a cut. Okay, sorry. I'll talk a lot quieter then, okay? Is that better? Yeah. Okay. And the last two books on this shelf are my style manual, which is getting old now. This is the 6th edition. I think they're up to like 13th edition now, but it still does its job. It's the style manual for Australian publishing and the editing handbook for Australian editors. So they just come in handy as reference books when I am drafting and editing and setting out my books to publish. Yeah, that's the last shelf of the ABC. So I've got 2 more shelves to go, and they're themed shelves. So I will pause, get the kids their nuggies, get myself something to eat, and then I'll come back with those ones. Okay, my lunch is cooking, and once that is, I grabbed the next shelf. Now, I cannot tell you how good some of these... I have not read a lot of these books. This is my first theme shelf, so I am very, very slowly collecting a lot of academic and practitioner books about Norse mythology and Norse religion. Specifically Norse religion, because I think... and the mythology and stuff like that. So a lot of that, and a lot of the history, things like that. So I'm very, very slowly collecting these books because they're expensive. I've got a lot of PDFs that I'm slowly sorting through, and I think I've got a lot of books in those PDFs. The advantages of these academic sites where you can get a lot of things, but I also have excerpts and things like that. So I do think once I start reading through a lot of those PDFs, I'm going to get a lot more books on my list that I want to get hold of. So anyways, I'll go... I haven't really ABC'd this. It's just because where I fit it, I just fit it where I can on the shelf. The only other book on the shelf is, for me to be a bit of a cheeky plug, is my own book, Descent. So this is the book. This is the bookshelf you sort of see in the background, on, when I'm in lives, the camera. You see My Descent, and then you'll see these books sitting next to it. So the first book on my list is, I have started reading this. I've read the first 2 sagas, but I do want to go back and reread these already. And this is my copy of the Sagas of the Icelanders. Now, I bought this brand new. It doesn't look like it anymore. I have kind of destroyed it, but I love it. Sagas of the Icelanders. Been very interesting so far. Not an easy read. Another not so easy read, and one that I read before I sort of had that idea about the patriarchal versus the matriarchal systems, is the Prose Edda. So this is my Penguin edition. I have a few editions of this, and this one is translated by, this is Boyok's. This is Jesse Boyok's translation. I do want to track down another copy of it, something that's a bit easier to write in, because it's not the most easiest one to write in, but as I said before, with Beowulf, I like to have multiple versions of the same sort of older text with different translators, so I can sort of read and compare. And I haven't read this for a long time. I haven't read the Prose Edda for a long time. The Poetic Edda is more my interest, but I will reread that eventually, and probably get. I think Boyok's done a Poetic Edda as well. As I said, I could buy every book on Norse mythology, Norse history, Norse magic as practitioners are practicing it now, and I would still not be satisfied. I would want more information. I've got the Poetic Edda. The background behind all this interest is, besides being a special interest, my captain in my science fiction series, her background is Norse, and I've done it in such a way that they've effectively brought back a version of Norse society, but it's been sort of altered and changed and updated. So it's inspired by these sorts of Norse history, but, and I'm trying to say true when I use actual Norse history, but the society's slightly different. So yeah, it's a bit sort of complicated, but we're thousands of years in the future, so of course things are going to change. But I'm just really interested in the era and the people. But this is Jackson Corford's original edition of the Poetic Edda. He has put out a second edition where he's updated things. I do want to get my hands on a copy of that. And it'd be interesting just to read the 2 versions side by side to see what he changed. But I just, not there yet. Okay, this is Boyok's Ice Age Viking Age Iceland. I have read this. This was extremely interesting. This is the book that made me start thinking that there is something that has been destroyed or lost when it comes to the matriarchal side of Norse culture. I don't necessarily think that it was matriarchal, then it became patriarchal. I just think that there's something, maybe they were side by side, and there was like the Viking, like men's sort of business, and then there was the women's business sort of thing, a bit like we have in Australia. Okay, so here in Australia we have the Aboriginals, the First Australians, First Nations, and they have this male sort of side to their culture and this female side to their culture. And it's not defined by what's between your legs, as far as I'm aware. It is a bit more fluid than that. But the women do women's business and the men do men's business, and they are distinct and separate. And the men don't know some of the women's stuff, and the women don't know some of the women's stuff. So if only men wrote down the histories and the myths and the legends, it makes sense to me that some of the women's stuff got lost. Am I making sense? I think I'm making sense. Anyway, but that's where I sort of started getting inklings of that reading this. And this is just a purely history book. It gives context to the sagas, like when the sagas was written and some of the information around that. And it's definitely worth a good read. If you're interested in the sagas, I think it's worth reading to get some context on what's going on. This one I have not read yet. So this is Kat Jarman's River Kings. It's Vikings from Scandinavia to the Silk Road. So it's sort of discussing the travels of the Vikings in the Viking era. This is Children of Ash and Elm, which is a history of the Vikings. As I said, like, I haven't read this one, so I do not know exactly what it's about, but I think it's focusing mainly on Norway and those sorts of areas and the history as it is known at the moment. Although some of these books will, however, have to be rewritten because they're starting to find that a lot of those Norse kings were actually queens, which is very interesting. They just assumed they were kings because they were buried with swords, but now they're testing bones and they're finding out that they're women. The Saga Land, I have read this. This is great. This is co-written by Richard Fiedler and Carly Larson. They're Australians. Carly was born, I think, over in Iceland and then came over to Australia, I believe. But these guys are academics and they convinced the ABC, which is a government-owned news outlet here in Australia, they do these sorts of history things as well. They're like a whole production company, and they went to Iceland and they went around and they did a radio, I think, of recordings of it, and they read portions of the sagas in the exact place these sagas were meant to have occurred. So it's really interesting from that point of view, and I will reread that again. I really did enjoy that one. This one is The Vikings by Robert Ferguson, a history. So it's just another history. Price. Yeah, no, I don't have a just for a second there thought, did I double up on my books? No. I just found this secondhand in a bookstore, so I grabbed it. I'd got no idea what it's going to be other than a history of Vikings, so we'll see. This one's not with its companion. This is the Saga of the Volsungs with the Saga of Ragnar Lothbrok, and this is Jackson Crawford's version. First edition, I believe he's updating all of his translations. We shall see. Now, this one I'm not entirely sure what the focus is on this one. I think she's a retired physical therapist.
I'm already finished, Mom.
Okay, you finished. Good girl. Decoding Norse myths with pet ravens. I'm not sure if this is a practitioner book or if it's discussing history or how she reads the editors. I'm not sure, but the name grabbed me, so I grabbed it. Yes, baby?
I'm playing Minecraft now.
Okay, you can play Minecraft. The Song of the Vikings by Nancy Marie Brown. This is focused around Snorri Sorensen and the writing.
Mom,
of
can you
the
help me
original
do
edits.
the password?
Oh yes, give me a second. From one more shelf to go. Okay. Now,
okay, I'm going.
You still playing your Dragon World?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah, that one I think is sort of focused around Snorri Sorensen and the writings of the editors, like the physical copies, like the physical written versions of those poems that we now have because of him, and maybe his history, because he was an interesting character on Snorri Sorensen. Snorri. Oh my god. I'm not gonna say it. Okay, this one is sort of leaning out towards my alley. Old Norse Women's Poetry, The Voices of the Female Skalds by Sandra Belief Strabaha. I'm hoping it has, like, obviously they don't know because the way pronouns were written, I believe, in the texts, but these are the ones that they believe were written by females or have confirmation were written by women skalds. So just sort of discussing which works of poetry were theirs and not. And yeah, I'm very interested in reading that. It's only a little book, which is great. This one, I think, yeah. This one is a Poetic and Prose Edda compilation by, does it say who the translator is? this is the Thorpe translation. So Benjamin Thorpe, Poetic Edda, and the Prose Edda translated by Blackwell. And I believe this is the same situation as some of my other books, like the Beauty and the Beast one. They're editions, the translations that are out of print, out of copyright, so they've just someone independently has published them themselves. Fair gives me a nice copy to put them in. They've also got a version of the Helmslager paper stuff as well, which I think I might grab eventually. This one is, I'm a little confused with what this one actually is. So this one is Norse and German Religion, a source book by Thor Eptildala. Now he is here on YouTube as well, and he shares a lot about Norse history, but I'm not entirely certain if this is the resources sort of compiled into like the gods information, or if it's a practitioner book. I think it might be a mix of both. So yeah, like, but he's all focused on the actual religion, and sort of current practices based on the sources. And I sort of think, and I thought it would just be really interesting juxtaposition between reading the history sort of stuff and the interpretations by someone in the world today. So yeah, he does have another book that's, I think, released or coming out, and he's talking a lot about berserkers in it, and I want to get my hands on it. I do have to do that soon. Viking Women by Lisa Harnett. The Life and Law, I believe it's just discussing how women actually lived in that era based on the information we currently have. Then this is Valkyrie, Women of the Viking World by Johanna Catherine Fredriksdotter. Can we see a theme? And then the last four books all sort of go together. These are Jessie Boyok and some co-writers as well. And these are all Norse language, so Viking language, she called them. Jessie, male or female, don't know. I think it's a male actually. But yeah, the author has, like, I do eventually want to teach myself Norse. I would really like to read the poetry, the skaldic poetry and that in Norse. Sorry, the Edda's of it, but we'll see. Anyways, that is that shelf. Okay, lunch has been had. I do have a chocolate frog here, but anyways, last shelf. So this is my Tolkien shelf, and it is very sparse. I need to get a lot of Tolkien books. Sorry, child interruption there. Okay, so this is my Tolkien shelf. I am missing a lot of Tolkien books. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this collection, because this is a collection I think I want to really slow read and deep dive. Yeah, I love Tolkien. I love Lord of the Rings. Not a huge fan of The Hobbit, but I appreciate The Hobbit, and yeah, I want to read more. The Complete Tolkien Companion, just a encyclopedia effectively on Tolkien's world. Now this one is The Song of Middle Earth by David Harvey. I have read this. I think this is the one that sort of points out a lot of the Christian themes in it, I think, from memory. I'm not sure, but I will reread it one day. This is a relatively new to me series. I don't know how long these have been out, but someone is... So this is a series of books, effectively Tolkien's bookshelf, so books that inspired him. I've got 2 so far. I think there's about 7 or 8 left in the series. I'll be finished in a minute. I've currently got the Poetic Edda. This is the one that actually I realised it was a series with, and then this one is the Glittering Plain, and yeah, I'm just slowly collecting them. here is the other book that I have of Mark Atherton's There and Back Again, J.R.R. Tolkien and the Origins of the Hobbit. So yeah, I'm interested to read that eventually. And then this one is by Graham James Mickleham. It's Tolkien, the Philosopher of War. A philosopher. No, just Philosopher of War, Tolkien. So yes, slowly getting them. Now these are my actual Tolkien books. I've got Farmer Giles of Ham and the Adventures of Tom Bombadil in this tiny little edition. Very old edition. I do believe these books are printed in a bigger book with other stories, so I might eventually replace that. This is a recent edition. This was my birthday present last year, birthday and Christmas books, and these are my the poetries, Tolkien's poetries complete collection. I got the hardcovers, but I since believe they have released them as paperbacks, which is a bit annoying because I would dearly love all my books to be the same height. This one is a very special book. This is a children's story, Bilbo's Last Song. It's a beautiful piece of work about Bilbo's journey to the Grey Havens. And this is the last pile. So, the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I've got the classic black editions, and I would love to get like the rest of like the Lost Worlds and all that to match, but I don't think I will. I have my Silmarillion. I have this. I love this book. I have never been able to read it cover to cover. I keep trying to read it and then getting distracted with other things and doing other things and forgetting about it and then restarting it. But this is A Brief History of the Hobbit. It contains the complete manuscript version of The Hobbit. So what this person has done, what Radcliffe has done, is taken all like the versions of The Hobbit that are in the Tolkien archive and put them together. So you can see the evolution of the book from the first draft or the first notes through to the final version. And as I think this is a really invaluable sort of thing to look at from a writing perspective, because it can really show you the difference between drafts, even when a master does it. So yes, I will eventually sit down and read this one cover to cover. The revised and extended edition of Letters, the Tolkien Letters. I mean, it is what it says on the cover. I haven't read any of it yet, but I'm looking forward to getting to that. Beowulf and Selig Spell. Yeah, this is of all the translations I've read and watched, because there's been a lot of adaptations in the past. This is my favourite one, but I also love Tolkien, so I'm a bit biased. But yes, and the last book of his I have, this took a bit of tracking down, this book, The Monsters and the Critics and Other Essays. So this is his critical essays on, I think, mainly discussing like Beowulf and some of the older poetic stuff, ancient manuscripts. Very interested in getting to that eventually. So yes, that is my complete bookshelf collection. I have two kids that are refusing to go to bed. Okay, so it's a few days later. I hope you enjoyed the snapshot of my book collection. Physical books only, obviously. Yeah, there's not really much else for it. It's coming clearer and clearer to me that the books I enjoy and want to continue to revisit are sort of science fiction, space adventures, sort of crossed with military and cyberpunk style things. And that includes sort of leaning into places where the author wrote multiple generations / multiple points of view in the same universe. I really do enjoy those sorts of things. So it's an interest, and it's an interesting look at. I'm seeing clear distinctions between what I have on my shelves and my style of writing. I don't know if you do too. I'll be interested if you have read my work and some of the works that I have shown as favourites, whether or not you do see the similar coloration. Oh my god, I can't even fucking speak. The similarities. Let's use that word. I can get that one out tonight. I'm tired. And yeah, so let's leave it at that. I shall chat to you soon. I really, really, really need to get editing on my book. I'm trying. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. I need some extra time and some brain power to do it. But we'll leave it there. I would say like, comment, and subscribe. But we are all adults. Do whatever the fuck you want. And I shall see you soon.